I think every Latino person at some point in their life should own real estate. One, we all need a place to live in. And two, we all need a vehicle to create wealth. I think the biggest misconception that we have is acquiring liabilities versus assets. And real estate is one of the only ways that we have to create real wealth through equity building. And I don't think that most Latinos understand that concept. I don't think Latinos understand what equity is. The fact that you purchase a house for $100,000 and then 5 years later, that same house is worth $300,000. The difference is $200,000, which, it's equity. You can leverage that equity to acquire another property or to even go to business, you start a business or anything that you would like to do. But that's just a way of creating wealth. And if you truly want to create wealth, you would be interested in acquiring equity and creating generational wealth for your children through the leverage of real estate. Equity is the value of your home minus the balance. So for example, like I just gave you an example, if you purchased a house for $200,000 5 years ago, and now that house is worth $450,000, the difference is $250,000. That is equity. And you can use that equity. You could either pull it out of your house to purchase another property. You can leave it in your home, finance college tuition. You can consolidate debt with it, or you can either start a business with it. The Caucasian community has always owned real estate, whether they purchased it, they took it by demand, they've owned real estate for centuries now, right? Ever since the United States was established, they were after one thing, and that was land. You should buy land because they stopped making it a long time ago. It is what it is. We're never going to have the opportunity to create more land. It's not something that you can create unless we take over another planet. And the reason why most Latinos and most, Black or African American families are so behind in the wealth building aspect is because we haven't really had the opportunity to purchase real estate in the United States. I don't know if you know this, but there's even parts here I've read deeds, like quitclaim deeds on properties where it specifically says, this property can never be sold to anybody from a Negro or Mexican descent, because that was a way of them keeping us suppressed. And they wanted to keep us suppressed. They wanted to keep us poor because people have always known the power of creating wealth through real estate. Generational wealth is really created through real estate. You can create wealth in many aspects, whether it's an investment, but the number one vehicle that you want to create wealth through is going to be real estate, because it's never going to go away. That is the one asset that you're going to invest in, and whether the market depreciates or not, it will always be there and it will always bounce back. It's really interesting, but my dad came from a very humble beginning. And I don't speak about this enough, but my dad is illiterate. He doesn't know how to read or write. He was an orphan, and he had to take care of his family. And the one thing I think that stuck with him is that by the age of 17, he had purchased his first home in Mexico. His mother fell ill, and then he had to sell that family home that he purchased at the age of 17 to pay for her medical bills. So I think once he sold that property in Mexico and he was able to pay for the medical bills, I think in his head something clicked, and it was the fact that he needed to own assets to buy things or to pay for things, and he never wanted to be put in that position again. So when he came to the States, he advocated, him and my Uncle Tom, rest in peace, always advocated to the family to purchase real estate. And they were the first ones to purchase real estate in Los Angeles. And through those teachings and being able to see what my dad was able to create through the equity in his property, is that, one thing led to the other. I came into real estate, and, I really bought into the notion of creating wealth through real estate. It was in something that I learned through a book, or it was realistically a life experience that it took 2 generations to live and to realize. You have to get serious about things, and I think the biggest misconception of people in the hood isn't the inability to purchase real estate, is their mindset. The fact that they don't think they're competent enough or they're able to buy real estate. I would say one, get serious about it. And what I mean by serious about it is, either find yourself a good job, a 9-to-5, or something that you can show wages, because without wages, you're never ever going to be able to purchase a house. 2, start a plan, really start working on a plan. And that plan needs to include, how you're going to save for down payment, how you're going to build, you're going to create credit if credit hasn't been established. Really work on something concrete. If that's really what you want to do. Donde existen ganas, existe el modo. You know, there you'll find where you have a will, you'll find a way. It's just a matter of putting it into a plan and really sorting things out and putting things into perspective and saying, okay, this is the goal I want to accomplish. What are the steps that I need to do to get there? The biggest issue that we Latinos have is the fact that we get frustrated over little obstacles. You have to work hard for homeownership. You have to work hard to open a business. You have to work hard to create wealth. And that's something that's the biggest misconception. No one's going to come hand you a 700 FICO score. No one's going to hand you a down payment, resource for you. No one's going to hand you your closing costs. You have to work hard for those things in order to acquire something. There's a sacrifice that comes with being a homeowner. And are you willing or are you not willing to complete those sacrifices to become a homeowner? I think at the end of the day, I can sit here and explain, what are the steps day in and day out, but it comes down to, are you passionate enough? Is this something you really want? And do you have the right mindset to become it? The first thing you got to do is find a good loan officer. Figure out a trustworthy realtor. It's step number one, because that trustworthy realtor will take you to a loan officer. That loan officer is going to run credit for you, and it's going to be able to see financially where you stand based on credit and financially where you stand based on income. So there's two big roles that have to play in becoming a homeowner here. You have to qualify based on credit and you have to qualify based on income. The only way to find out whether you're going to qualify is through somebody taking an application for you. So if you go through life never really talking to a professional lender or speaking to a realtor, you're never going to really know if you're eligible to purchase a property or not. So the first two steps would be find a reliable realtor. That reliable realtor is going to take you to the reliable lender, and once you have the pre-qualification letter in hand, that's how you start looking for a property. It's that simple. I don't believe in you need to have all the resources in your hand to figure out that you need to save money. I've explained this before. My dad's is illiterate in his own language, can't read or write, and he's one of the smartest men that I know. Not because he knows how to figure out YouTube or watch a video or read a book, because this is common sense. It's common sense. You need to go hunt, save your meat, so you can eat through winter. Same concept applies to finances. You need to go work, save your money so you can pay for future expenses. It's not rocket science. It's not something that you're going to learn out of a book. It's habits. It's, do you have the right habits or not? You can't teach habits unless the person is unwilling to learn them. And it's something that, I can't teach you. I can teach you all day on how to save for a down payment, what is it that you can do and put away 10, 50%. But if you don't have the drive or the willpower to do it, you don't have the habits to do it, it's never going to get done. It doesn't matter if you make $10,000 a year or $150,000 a year. You just don't have the habits. So it comes down to habits. Do you or do you not have the habits? And unfortunately, can you teach habits? Yes, you might be able to teach them, but it comes down to learning from other people that have gotten there. And there's people that have gotten there in the hood, in middle class, communities, in upper class communities by themselves, is finding the right person, attaching and latching yourself to that right person and learning from them. You don't need a book to learn from people. You don't need a book to learn, about life. You can learn about life through people's experiences. Find the right people. It's irrelevant, because if I really wanted to learn about real estate and I was back in the hood, back in the 90s, we didn't have technology. And I can still tell you to this day, there were people buying properties in the hood in the 90s and still figuring out how to come up with those down payments. And why were there people buying real estate in the hood? Because they had to drive. Maybe it was 5% of the community. The rest of them were in subsidized housing, or the rest of them were in apartments or rentals. But that 5% figured it out. They didn't need technology to figure. I think technology just opens up a bigger window so more people can learn about it. But even if you learn about it, it doesn't matter how much you know about it. If you don't apply it, it's never going to work. Because we live in a cycle. We never exit that cycle. We never exit that trend. I compare, and this might sound really, really bad, but I compare the hood to trailer parks. You go into a trailer park and you're going to see the newest, the biggest truck, $90,000 spent in a truck, in a vehicle. You go to the hood, they have Mercedes, Audis. They have the most luxurious cars. For what? Why? We're not spending our money wisely. We're spending them on liabilities versus assets, and that's something that you can do in the hood and out of the hood. Is just your mindset's just not not there. An asset, a real asset, a true asset is going to be a home, something that, yes, it'll cost you money. You have a mortgage payment, but it's also building you equity, and you're able to build your net worth through that equity. Equity asset would be a life insurance policy that's set up appropriately that can generate you cash values at a 10 to 12% rate of return. That is an asset.